It is the end of a grueling week. Your partner or a friend comes to you with an emotional crisis, or just a story about their day. Instead of warmth, you feel a wall go up. Your face goes blank, your voice flattens. You offer clipped, one-word answers. Inside, you feel a profound, hollow coldness. You might call yourself a bad partner, but science calls this ego depletion. Today, we are going to unpack the exact biological mechanism behind why your empathy shuts down when you are tired, and give you a functional tool to protect your relationships without forcing energy you do not have.
To fix this, we have to correct a core misunderstanding about what empathy actually is.
We tend to think of empathy as a passive state. We assume it is just a personality trait that sits in the background. Psychology tells a different story. Empathy is a highly active, metabolically expensive, and cognitively demanding process. Feeling what someone else feels, suppressing your own distractions, and formulating a sensitive response requires heavy lifting from your prefrontal cortex. It burns actual calories and depletes your finite mental reserves over the course of the day. When you are exhausted from chronic stress, lack of sleep, or a day filled with endless minor decisions, your cognitive load reaches its absolute maximum limit. Just keeping yourself upright and functioning takes everything you have. Your brain recognizes that you are running on empty, and because cognitive empathy is so metabolically expensive, your brain treats it like an unnecessary luxury. It forcefully shuts down your ability to care, simply to conserve energy for basic physical survival. You are not cold because you are cruel. You are cold because caring costs too much right now. This phenomenon is driven by a mechanism called ego depletion. The theory relies on the fact that your willpower and emotional regulation operate just like a physical muscle. Every time you suppress an annoyed sigh at work, force yourself to focus on a boring task, or navigate traffic, you are flexing that muscle. By the time you get home, that muscle is in a state of complete failure. Responding warmly to a loved one requires self-regulation, but your cognitive currency is entirely spent. Your brain rejects the demand, resulting in that flat, empty stare. Understanding this biological shutdown is vital, but it does not excuse the relational damage it causes. So before we go deeper into the neurology, we need to deploy an immediate behavioral patch. Do not try to force empathy when your tank is empty. Faking it usually bleeds out as passive aggression. Instead, use the micro-boundary script. When you feel the coldness hit, say this word for word. I love you, and I want to hear this, but my brain is completely empty right now. Can I have 30 minutes to decompress in silence, and then we can talk? This simple verbal protocol works because it satisfies three distinct psychological needs at once. First, it affirms your relational attachment by leading with love. Second, it honestly explains your biological state without casting blame. Third, it offers a specific timeline for reconnection. You are setting a firm boundary to protect your exhausted biology, but you are doing so without freezing the other person out or triggering their rejection anxiety. You are taking psychological accountability for your biological state. Now let us look at what is physically happening inside your head when you use this tool. The feeling of emotional coldness is an observable neurological reality. When you are well rested, there is a strong connection between your amygdala, which handles raw emotion, and your medial prefrontal cortex, which regulates those emotions. The prefrontal cortex acts like a wise parent guiding the amygdala. But sleep deprivation and extreme fatigue effectively sever that specific neural pathway. Your executive functioning simply ceases to guide your reactions. Without the prefrontal cortex acting as a regulator, your brain becomes easily overwhelmed by normal social stimuli. The prosocial cognitive network, the exact neurological wiring responsible for warmth, altruism, and connection, goes dormant. Functional magnetic resonance imaging shows a steep, undeniable decline in the activity of these prosocial centers when subjects are exhausted. You become physically detached because the physical wiring that produces emotional warmth has been temporarily suppressed by your own fatigue. To make this withdrawal deeply understandable, we have to view it through the lens of evolutionary biology. In our ancestral environment, extreme fatigue meant extreme vulnerability. If an early human was physically depleted, they were at a severe risk of being killed by a predator. In a state of fatigue, your brain shifts entirely into self-preservation mode. Your biological programming believes it needs to hoard every remaining drop of energy, just in case you need to fight or flee for your physical life. Sometimes this exhaustion is not caused by one bad night of sleep, but by chronic burnout. The World Health Organization identifies depersonalization as a core dimension of clinical burnout. Depersonalization is a defense mechanism. When you are chronically drained by the emotional demands of your environment, your psyche protects itself by creating distance. You stop seeing people as humans with needs, and you start seeing them as tasks, obstacles, or drains on your energy. This is known as compassion fatigue. Your emotional checking account is simply bankrupt. This biological fortress is brilliant for survival, but it is destructive for intimacy. By becoming flat and unresponsive, your body is unconsciously sending a clear signal to the rest of the tribe. It is broadcasting a message that says, "Leave me alone. Do not ask anything of me. I am conserving critical resources." Today, the predator is just an overflowing email inbox, and the tribe is your family. Your brain does not know the difference. It just knows your energy reserves are empty, and it is time to build a wall. When you stonewall your partner, it triggers immense anxiety. According to attachment theory, humans have an innate need for secure connections. To your exhausted brain, your coldness just means you need to rest. But to your partner, that exact same coldness translates as rejection. Their attachment system registers your flat tone and blank expression as a direct threat to the relationship. Understanding this disconnect between what you are feeling and what they are perceiving is the absolute key to relational responsibility. Renowned relationship psychologists identify stonewalling as a primary predictor of relationship failure. Stonewalling occurs when a listener completely withdraws from an interaction, shutting down because they feel physiologically flooded. Being chronically tired puts you in a state of baseline flooding. But if you allow your biology to hijack your reactions every time you are tired, you actively erode the emotional safety of your home. You cannot control the physical shutdown, but you entirely control how you communicate it to your loved ones. This requires mastering metacognition. Metacognition is the ability to observe your own thinking in real time. When you feel that chilling numbness wash over you, you must identify it internally before it damages an external interaction. Notice the physical signs. Pay attention to the tension in your jaw or the sudden spike of annoyance at the mere sound of someone talking. Catch the sensation and mentally label it. Tell yourself, "I am not angry at them. My empathy is just unavailable because I am severely depleted." You can also proactively manage your cognitive load by identifying your tired window. If you know that you suffer from severe ego depletion by 6:30 every evening, do not walk through the front door and launch straight into household problem solving. Establish a daily routine where the first 20 minutes after arriving home are strictly dedicated to silent decompression. Train your household to respect this transition period. Taking this space is not selfish. It is a necessary intervention to allow your prefrontal cortex to recover its function. Finally, when you are unexpectedly approached while exhausted, practice rapid cognitive reframing. Your depleted amygdala will automatically frame the person talking to you as a threat to your rest. You must consciously challenge that automatic biological assumption. Remind yourself that your partner or child is not an obstacle to your peace. They are just seeking connection. This tiny mental pivot can sometimes summon exactly enough cognitive empathy to gently pause the interaction using your micro-boundary script, rather than lashing out with coldness. Give yourself grace for the exhaustion, but take full accountability for the communication. By understanding your mind's machinery, you can protect your energy without breaking the hearts of the people who rely on your warmth. Here is your challenge for this week. Identify your daily tide window. Pick the specific hour when your ego depletion is at its worst, and write out your personalized micro-boundary script. Practice saying it out loud today, so the words are ready on your tongue the next time the coldness hits.